Hello, hello, and welcome to the first ever Sunday service. Let us pray. I'm joined today by my oh, don't want that. By my good friend Graham Hughes of Politics Social, legendary,
Hello.
one of the very few men in the world to have an island that's not a perv.
Well, you say that.
That's to be contested. Yeah, this is the first time that I've ever done a live stream on my YouTube channel, and the stressful prep beforehand has proven that, as
Yes.
I'm besieged by technical issues. But what we'll talk to you about today is the looming threat, the turd that won't flush, Nigel
Mm.
Farage, and reform and how we got here. I think we all know how we got here. I mean, you were kind of involved. Well, you weren't involved in the rise of reform, but you were involved in trying to stop Brexit from happening quite a while ago. So
I was. The bastards.
oh, you've already hit the swear jar.
Oh, sorry. I think we
You
can get away with that. It's the stronger ones that they don't like. Honestly, after 5 minutes, you can say what you like.
what like feck and no, right? Anyway, what was it? What was it that Mikey told us, slunt? Anyway, so we'll be talking about reform. We'll be talking about how we can stop them and how it's absolutely vital that we do stop them. Because if we don't stop them now, history's told us it's a bit harder to get fascists out once they're in power. So
Mm.
yeah. So to start, where it began was, as we all know, the nightmare of Brexit, an absolute. I can't swear, can I? I was just about to say S show.
Give,
So I
give it. You can say S show. I'm pretty sure you can say that. I don't want to
well,
say because it's on your channel. I don't want
oh God, yeah.
to
We're
get
tipped.
you into trouble.
But we've got the local elections coming up. And one of the things that I think is really important at the start to talk to you about today is tactical voting. And I know what people are going to think. Like Labour, a lot of people aren't particularly happy with Labour at the moment. A lot of people are thinking tactical voting, don't want to have to keep doing this. It's a big pile of wank, etc. And I understand that because we backed Labour. You were called Labour Social,
I was.
and we did our best
So
to,
glad I changed the name. So glad. So glad.
as we know, like that. I mean, it's not it's not a foregone conclusion in terms of like they're absolutely shite. There are things they're doing well, like the NHS, for example. They're making gains there. They're doing your face is like that they are doing that. They're trying to implement some progressive policy, right? But by and large, what they're doing bad, they are doing very bad. It's affecting marginalized communities. It's affecting the disabled. It's affecting trans people. And feeding into this whole reform rhetoric thing isn't just going to screw them electorally, it's going to make people that are suffering in those communities suffer more. And yeah, it's just going to destroy the fabric of our society. So, and the rhetoric is the problem because they don't win based on how well we've done. They win based on pure rhetoric, as we saw with Biden. And I fear that we're heading in a bit of a Biden situation. So, what are your thoughts on the local elections, Graham?
I think Labour are going to have their arse handed to them, but so are the Tories. And this is the thing: like most of the votes that Refuck are going to get are going to come from Tory voters, disaffected Tory voters. But there's a lot of them, and so it looks like Angela Ledsam's going to win in Lincolnshire as mayor. She's going to be the mayor of Lincolnshire. Yeah, Refuck mayor. I'm just like,
Oh my God. And she is the one who did the.
yeah, she's absolutely deranged. She
Yeah,
is
yeah.
she's a whole picnic short of a picnic.
Of
Put it that way.
a level of crazy. She just kicks the picnic over.
um, but Labour, in a way, Labour deserve a bit of a kicking. But we need people to be voting Lib Dem and Green and SNP and Plaid Cymru. I don't know if they have local elections in Scotland or Wales. If you don't, sorry, don't mean to be offensive.
Well,
But definitely got them in England.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Some places have. I mean, there's some places where, for bureaucratic reasons, it's delayed and it's not going to
yeah,
be happening. But
yeah. But
yeah,
it's gonna be. I mean, what I hate is the fact that I'm gonna have to see that ugly gobshite. What's his name, Farage, on the front page of every newspaper on Friday, grinning like an idiot because he's won a handful of councillors.
what's
Whereas the
next?
Greens have got like 800 councillors and no one even mentions them.
All that dude has to do is a loose fart, not even a fart, and he's just plastered everywhere. Like I was saying, it's like a
Yeah,
hard day's night. It's like the Beatles being chased into a taxi. It's crazy.
yeah.
So no matter what he does, he's platformed, and I think that's a huge part of the problem. With like the other week, we had journalists, like I think it was that I'm not a fan of him. I'll be diplomatic. I think it was Tom Swarbrick hosting a phone-in saying, How are reform gaining? It's like you're doing a phone-in on how reform, all reform has to do is, yeah, just they could say anything and they are just platformed everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it's a lot of the problem is that the legacy, well, what's called the legacy media, it was a crazy term to be called that years ago, are trying to keep up with the rise of social media, aren't they? And the sensationalism. And for them, it's clicks at any cost. So he brings in clicks. I mean,
Mm.
we've found it. If we talk about Nigel Farage, we get people watching our videos more because it's kind of like a split between love and hate. And I think the difference between us is we're critical when we talk about him. Nobody else is. And they're kind of, oh, I wonder how this is happening, but we're featuring him on every single front page and on every single, what was once respected broadcasting,
Yeah.
like,
But
BBC.
this is what I think. I think that the Lib Dems, the Greens especially, they need a berserker. They need someone who's just absolutely bonkers to just go on
Mm.
all the news shows and say the maddest stuff. And then they keep on having to apologize for them and say, well, they think their own way, they're their own person. They don't necessarily reflect the whole party and all this. But just have someone out there grabbing the headlines. Ed Davey had the right idea in the last election when he fell off. He fell off a paddleboard a few times, and did everyone get that? Oh, hang on, I'll go back on my paddleboard. Woo, I've fallen off again. And he did it because he knew it would get him on the front cover of all the newspapers. And it did. It did.
It did.
So,
It got on the news coverage, and that's the problem. Like everyone else is having to kind of perform tricks, like
yeah,
performing deal, just to get a fraction. And we've had the stats out. They prove that the coverage of Farage and reform is disproportionate.
yeah.
And the Greens don't get a look in, and they deserve it. They've got some good progressive policy. The Lib Dems, I think they're quite changed now. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
us will never forgive them, I think, for the tuition fees debacle,
It wasn't
unfortunately.
just tuition fees, there was also bloody austerity. I
Oh,
mean,
and go coalition with
yeah,
the Tories.
going into coalition.
They slightly tempered a few of their policies, but nowhere near enough. I mean, they
Yeah.
basically shook hands with the devil. They went over to the dark side, and they were just the people, in the corner, not really doing much. And they ruined their reputation for possibly forever, but markedly
Well,
destroyed it.
they were down to 12 MPs at one point.
Yeah,
They were just annihilated by the electorate who's just like, what are you doing?
you're lying
We voted for you to not be the Tories,
Yeah.
They'll
But
go
then,
and join them.
Labour, they're getting the same accusations. And you know
Yeah.
what? Of it, I think is valid. I think it's valid. I certainly didn't vote for this. I certainly had the hope that they would do better. And a lot of the time, people think it's down to a lack of political foresight. They think, oh, well, you just magically believed that Labour wouldn't implement any kind of like right-wing neoliberal policy. It's like, no, mate, it was a two-horse race.
Yeah.
First past the post doesn't care about, unfortunately, how progressive or not a party is. And we're over a barrel, really. And again,
Yeah.
we're finding ourselves in an election now where they're a short time in and we are over the barrel again. And our vote
Yeah.
is the only thing that we've got that can implement the change that Labour won't. And if they do get a drubbing, frankly, they probably in some ways deserve it, but I don't think they're going to get the drubbing for the reason that they deserve it.
Yeah.
That's the problem. They're going to get it because people think that a bunch of privately educated ex-city boys are the man next door. And when have we seen that before? Johnson, and
Yeah.
look at what he did whilst implementing essentially Faragean policy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we've got some super chats coming in.
We have.
At the beginning of the show, we had one from Uraki, because I want to. A bit of Billy Piper there, the woman who wishes that she could unfuck. And we've got Yuri, saying welcome to thank you very much for subscribing. And we've got some more further down. I don't know if I've missed any previously. I think these are the most recent ones. Rosie2911 says, hello, Tan and Graham. Great to see you two do a show together. Well, I love Graham. Graham's a legend. Yeah, we've been friends for God.
Oh, three years now, isn't it?
3 or 4 years, yeah.
I got in touch with you when I was starting off Labour Social, and it was about a year before I actually got that off the ground. So yeah.
Yeah, we were all in a chat group together? I can't remember.
Yeah. But it was the first time we met was at Glastonbury. Am I just dreaming that?
No. I think we had a.
Have we met before then?
I don't know.
No, I think it was Glastonbury.
Know. Mind you, I don't remember much about Glastonbury.
The first time we met was when we headlined Glastonbury together. That's all I remember.
Pyramid stage,
but I think we've been chatting and we've been on shows and stuff and in Zoom meetings.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't realise, I think, that like me, you, different bias, Rose Pierre, political Thompson, other disappointments, all awesome. Follow them all. We're all in group chats together. We laugh at troll comments together. So if you send us something, we're going to mock.
I'm just dreading the day that someone accidentally puts like a journalist from the Atlantic newspaper into our chat.
Accidentally on purpose.
All the screenshots of what we're saying go up.
It's not going to be us like, yay, we just took down an apartment block. You know, that kind of stuff. There's another one here. Kieran is it Croissant or Croissant? First super chat to protect the inevitable C-bomb. Know us well. You know us well. Thank you.
It will happen. It will happen at some point. Do you know Phil Morehouse has left Labour? You know that he's resigned as a member.
I did not know that, but
big news this week.
I also have. I haven't renewed my membership for Labour. It ran out shortly after they took office, and I was considering joining again loosely. I was going to see how the land lies, you see. So I was thinking, I'm going to see what they do. As I said before, I'll judge them on their record. I said this countless times before the election. I will judge them based on what they do, when it not some kind of like hypothetical situation. But I haven't, and I can't see myself currently rejoining as a member. Did he offer a reason for it? I haven't seen his reason.
2 reasons. The main one was because of their stance on tactical voting. Because obviously he wants to bring in, Phil, as do we all. We want to see voting reform. We want to see proportional representation. But there's been some Labour members who have been kicked out the party for saying, yep, in our constituency, where Labour have no chance of winning, you should vote Lib Dem. And they're being kicked out the party for it. So there's that. And he said the trans thing is the straw that broke the camel's back.
Absolutely. And he's actually a religious fella.
He is.
And I've got a good friend of mine who I call the cool priest, right? He's really sound, Benjamin. If he's watching, I don't know if he is. He's a cool ass, and he's so kind. And he has had pushback, I think, as a vicar, for being kind and tolerant to trans people. But he has persevered regardless, and he's not about to back down on what he thinks about it. And this just goes to show the people that use Christianity or religion as a front for their bigotry. That's simply all they're doing. Because I know a few people that are religious. It's not my way of doing things, but they are kind and tolerant, and they actually stick to what the tenets of Christianity are supposed to be, which is.
Well, I'll tell you someone who stuck up for the trans people, the Pope, the late Pope who just died. He stuck up for them.
JD Vance, took out.
He came in and shook his hand, and he had the virus on his hand.
It's just like Liz Truss, isn't it? Like the Queen was like, you know what? I've seen it all. I'm just going to die.
Well, the big connection there is the Heritage Foundation fund both JD Vance and Liz Truss.
Precisely, and that's why I made the video the other day. And I want to say a massive thank you briefly to I made probably one of my most ardently feminist, furious videos where I did not hold back. It was absolute honesty. And I was expecting, because a lot of my followers on YouTube are men, and it's the same across a lot of men that make political content too. It's not just the fact that I've got it's a lot of men I know also have quite a lot of male followers. Phil does, Max does, etc. And I was expecting a sea of defensiveness. I was expecting
Mm,
saying, oh, it's not all men, etc. The vast majority of men were sound as hell, and they actually restored my faith an enormous amount. Some voted with their feet. That video didn't do as well as others, which is a shame because the people
mm.
that needed to hear it didn't listen, which is the way of the world, isn't
Well,
it?
it is. It is. I,
But
I, I
yeah,
I think that's great though, but I also think that when people are presented with good arguments for them to use, it's really important because even if someone, doesn't watch the video because it doesn't chime with their worldview, someone else might watch that and go, "Oh, I haven't thought of it that way before." And next time someone brings it up in the pub or when they're out, they'll repeat what you've said. They'll say, "Oh, because you've made a good point." That until people point this stuff out to you, you just don't know.
that's the
So
relief of it, really, because like it's all about offering a different critical view, because the stuff that's churned out in the media is
yeah,
sadly really regressive. It's pushing that regressive far right viewpoint. And we're just offering an opinion. Like, we're not journalists. We're upfront about our biases. We have a bias towards, I don't know, just being decent. But the problem that you get is people uncritically parroting headlines, don't you?
yeah,
And if we can offer someone else a different viewpoint on it, that's our, as far as I'm concerned, that's my work done. Like, I'm
yeah.
so proud of that. Sorry, we've got loads more super chats
We
coming
have,
in.
and before we do, it looks like Liverpool's won the league. So well done, Liverpool.
That's not your team though, is it?
No.
Or the other one?
um, what the Everton? Yeah. So Everton have won the league 9 times, and Liverpool now won it 20 times. And I think that if you add the number of times we've won it and the number of times Liverpool have won it, it's almost the same as the number of times Manchester United and Man City have won it. Although maybe they've won it a couple more times. So yeah, there's a big rivalry for City. So if you add the clubs together,
Welcome to Footy Chat.
yeah,
Mind you, on the subject of footy, old Lineker, he's leaving Match of the Day, isn't he? Over
yeah,
the
yeah, and he did this really great interview. Did you see the interview he gave?
Yeah,
He
absolutely.
was like, "No regrets. No, I'm saying I was telling the truth."
And the problem is there's a double standard at the BBC, because people like Sugar can go around talking like a bloody bigot and not suffer any problems, right? I'm just trying to figure out again how to view these chats. Won't be a second. We've got Vegan Barnsley. Good name. I hope this is the first of many live streams. Up the punks, down with reform. Could not put it better myself, my friend. Absolutely.
Thanks, vegan.
And we've got Yuri. I'm going to try and pronounce your second name. I know you. I see you everywhere. You're a legend. Nuri Ninfect. Nope, I'm not going to do it. People forget that UKIP screwed Thanet Council harder than Bojo screwed Carrie. Uh, God, poor
There's a
Carrie.
metal image in it.
Poor Carrie. It must have been like having a fucking fabric wardrobe bearing down on her. Like,
Oh God, no,
can
no,
you
no, no,
imagine?
no.
You must have the strongest stomach in the world, I tell you that. Richard Grumpy Git, hello. Popey walked in on Vance waiting on the sofa. I know that you had to substitute the word waiting there. I know what JD Vance likes to do. The
He
sofa.
does like sofas, doesn't he? We've got a question in from Rob there asking you if you'll join another party.
Rob, whereabouts? What, Rob Wales?
Rob Wales asking, would you join another party?
I join another party. Possibly, possibly. I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, the Labour needs to, well, they need to get rid of McSweeney to
Hmm.
start. The guy, like, I'm certain he's a Tory, and he must be. And they fired their director of communications. And I was like, they had a director of communications
News to us.
just sitting there being useless as fuck the entire. But no, yeah,
It's
like
true.
they fired their DOC, and I was like, I was genuinely, I wrote a tweet saying, what? I, they had one. He must hate them. He must hate. But Starmer's an experienced man, like, and he is obviously taking advice from a bunch of absolute idiots because he's alienating his core base.
Yeah.
But no, the part I have to say, I'm warming, even though they're not at all my side of the political spectrum. I'm warming to reform. I'm joking. I'm reforming to Lib Dem. I like Lib Dems. I've met like Daisy Cooper. I've never met a Davy. I'd love to bake him a lemon drizzle. He seems like a nice guy. A genuinely nice guy. Like the videos about his
Yeah.
son with the, his son being in care, and it was really, and care is important. Social care is vitally important, and they're starting to feel a bit more left than Labour. And like, I mean, Labour's not even, I don't know what to call them now. Greens are cool, man. Like I have met Carla Denyer. She's sound as hell, and I do agree with a lot of their policies, and but Greens are more on the left aspect for me in terms of broader policy. But the thing is, the fringe parties can say pretty much whatever they want because they're not in a position where they have to pay for it.
But they
Or
don't. This is what drives me up the wall. I had a couple of Green candidates come to the door yesterday. I had a good chat with them. You know, it was all pleasant. And I said, you know, you get out there. Say you want UBI. You know, bring it universal basic income. That's what the Greens want. The Green want because they do. You know what I mean? But like, make a fuss about it. But they don't seem to do that, which is unfortunate. I met Vince. I met Vince Cable once. You know, the former leader of the Lib Dems, and I accidentally called him Vince Clarke from Erasure.
oh my god, give little respect.
formerly of Yazoo and Depeche Mode.
Yazoo, Only You, absolute
Yes.
bang, that song, beautiful.
He was with Depeche Mode on their first album.
So did you save it?
No, we
Did
just
you?
laughed. He laughed. He thought.
I can't help but think Vince Cable sounds a lot like a superhero. It's like evil villain, like from something like Superman or something.
Yeah. It's
Vince
like when
Co-
you meet Lord Adonis and he's this little bald guy, and you're like, you're not an Adonis. What?
Alistair Campbell said that that's an extremely ironic name. I think it was absolutely not an Adonis, not in any shape or form.
Going back to what we were talking about before, Homovac says best fake headline I saw was Pope Francis dies of cringe after JD Vance visit. Cause of death, cringe.
Cause of death, cringe. Oh my god, a touch of death. I mean, we should send him. Like someone said to me, "Oh, do you know what we should do next? We should send JD Vance to go meet Vladimir Putin." I was like, "Mate, he's already met him a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know how this is working. Like, they are in cahoots, mate."
Scratch post in the chat saying voting Lib Dem is voting for Conservatives or Reform. It's a wasted vote. Vote Labour and change the Labour Party. Well, no, I disagree. It depends where you are because we have a first past the post system. I actually just got a message from one of my friends in Australia saying, "Oh, you know about politics? Who should I vote for?" And I said, "Vote for whoever you want, number one, and then vote for Labour, number two. That's Australian Labour." And they said, "Oh, that's what I was going to vote for anyway," because they have a ranked voting system. So you can vote with your heart for the first candidate. The second candidate, you vote with your head for the person who's likely to win. And they just don't vote for Reform or the Tories or whatever. I much prefer to have that system.
It makes much more sense, although there are a lot of problems at the moment. Like I've seen a lot of, because I follow a lot of feminists, obviously, because I like to be permanently angry. And sadly, there's a really amazing man, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, whose sister was killed as a consequence of her abusive husband. And there's been a couple of really bad cases of femicide in during the election campaign in Australia. And the politicians are just ignoring it, like they're not even acknowledging that this is a problem. And but it's extremely common everywhere. Just today I scrolled through my local feed, and in my town there was a case of a woman suffering like a gang racially motivated, woman motivated crime. And below that there was a man who had been jailed for intimidating his girlfriend. And then below that it was the Telegraph with one of the apparent leads on incels saying we should give these men dating advice. And it's like, are you fucking crazy? Like, you need to deal with the root problem. And this neatly goes back to reform, right? Because these guys are hanging out with there was one like a Conor McGregor found liable of rape. Nikita Hand had to have her tampon surgically removed. Him grinning at the inauguration of him. right? Farage pictured with him, thumbs up with the rapist,
This is the
right?
guy who wants to run for Irish president, by the way.
Wants to run for who was, and there's that whole MMF fighter, or is it MMF, something, the mixed martial arts fighters,
MMA, MMF is a porn thing.
and how they are linked to the obviously the far right, and then the
Yep.
incel pipeline, because it's all it's all
Well, it's,
taking.
it's it's that idea that you can't change anything in your life, but you can change how you look in your own body. And if you become beefcake, then all the girls will go out
But
with you.
that's not a female ideal. On Twitter just today,
I
there
know.
was a Wally Mers, and he has got himself all ripped. Good for him, man. If he feels good in himself, good for him if he wants to make that change. But someone did a poll saying, men, do you think this is more attractive before or after? Women, do you think this is more attractive before or after? All the men said after. All the women said before. Then there was a whole bunch of threads where people were saying you're gaslighting yourselves, like it's a male ideal, and it's also quite a gay male ideal too. There was a lot of
Hmm.
gay men commenting saying this is what gay men want, like this is, and the women were saying he looks kinder, he looks funnier, he looks more cuddly before, he looks more like someone I could trust before and be myself with and safer with. And it's that they were trying to tell us what I preferred the before. I don't even
Yeah.
fancy Ollie. I was like the before, like what they think women want is just something that they've kind of psyoped themselves into all this. But in terms of reform, he's also been pictured with Tate.
Yeah.
He's also said that Tate's a phenomenon, and that's because misogyny is prevalent, and that's the only reason he's a phenomenon. So we've got a massive problem with them having a literal convicted woman beater in the party and calling for Christian forgiveness of that woman beater. And they hang out with vehement, misogynists because they're
Yeah.
they're basically UK MAGA. And I don't think enough
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
connection.
The people need to make in the, vote Farage, get Trump. That's got to be the line. And when you mentioned about Andrew Tate, don't forget that was who Farage claimed told him about the Southport murders last summer, which instigated riots. The Farage riots was a tweet that he promoted, and they said, Where did you get this information from?" He said, "Andrew Tate."
It was also like a form of stochastic terrorism because it's the whole plausible deniability thing, which was again common in the
Mm.
map a lot, where it's like, oh, we're just asking questions,
Yeah,
asking questions. He knows how it works. He knew that that was inciting further unrest, and he did it anyway. But
yeah.
he can't necessarily be held accountable because it's indirect. It's very clever. It's a
Mm.
clever way of inciting people. And the same yesterday, there was a guy, I think he was called Oz Lawrence, who committed he went out with a crossbow, and on his Facebook he posted like a makeshift manifesto. And he's white, British, agnostic, interests in the far right,
Mm.
wildly misogynistic, fallen down the conspiracy pipeline, right? He went out and he tried to kill a bunch of women and a bunch of other people. Is that instigating riots across Britain? No, because they don't care about women, they don't care about girls, they care
Yeah,
about co-opting the horrible things we face as a way to further their racism. That guy was
yeah,
white. If he was black, that everyone would be kicking off
yeah,
right now.
yeah.
And that is living proof of it, but it's just not bedding into people, I think.
Hornet in the chat says, "What skeletons is Nigel hiding? They're all hiding something. I'm just asking questions." Well, first of all, Nigel Farage was in a plane crash in about 2011, and the what happened was he was out and they had like a banner saying "Vote for," what was it called back then? UKIP, vote UKIP, right? And the banner got snarled up in the tail fin of the plane, and the pilot managed to land it just about. I mean, it did crash, but both Farage and the pilot survived. The pilot, trigger warning here, I'm sorry, he took his own life 2 years later. And if you look into it, he had loads of beef with Nigel Farage after that incident. And this is something that just isn't discussed. No one ever mentions it. Also, Farage was on Russia Today like every other fucking Saturday. He used to be on RT all the time. and that's never mentioned either. And it's like, why is this never brought up? Why does no one these people go, "Oh, would you like to say a few words, Nigel?" And he goes, "Blah, blah, 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 blah." It's
Because it doesn't make good copy. They're as I say
it's got
competing with
skeletons.
social media networks. So they want clippable content. They want content that will perform well. They're linked back to their articles, etc. There's no ROI on it. So they don't care. It's like how all of capitalism works, isn't it? But there's not just that with Nigel Farage. I'm going to do a video soon on the 5 questions. It's long overdue. I promised it to my viewers like
Mm,
ages ago. So sorry. The 5 questions that Nigel Farage needs to ask about Russia, and it's based on an article by Peter Jukes, and it goes way deeper. I
yeah.
mean, this is like meeting with ambassadors. These meetings, and Aaron Banks is linked to it too. I'm going to be careful. Well, actually, no, you can try and sue me, Aaron Banks. I've got no money anyway, so do your worst. You'll get a tenner out of me.
Do you know somebody called me a paedophile on Twitter, and when I threatened to sue, I spoke to some mutual friends of ours who know about the law, and they said you can't sue Graham Linehan because he's got no money.
Well, that's exactly why. What's her name? Scary, weird, broad. Hair doesn't move. Goes out with Ty. Forgot her name. She's irrelevant. What's her name? Goes out with Tice.
oh, Oak shit. Isabel Oak shit.
Fan of adultery allegedly. I can't remember her name. Yeah, Isabel Oakeshott. Yeah, she did the same with Femi. She was like, "Oh, you're worthless, so I'm not going to sue you." It's like, well, you're just showing your ass there, aren't you? You fascist
They're
twat.
pissed off to Dubai, you know.
Well,
The hypocrisy with these people is just off the charts.
they're
Like,
immigrants. They're becoming, or she has. She's become an immigrant. I think Tice very occasionally visits his constituency, unlike Nige, who isn't a fan of Clacton. I mean, I can't believe it. When I visited Clacton to do Vox Pops, the first thing you see as you go into the town is just a burnt out van. And it's just like a lot of the people there said that the cool people that we spoke to were like, he just comes here for a photo opportunity, he doesn't give a toss. They couldn't stand
yeah,
Trump, they couldn't stand Elon Musk.
yeah.
Um, they thought he was just using the town. There was a few people who were like, I'd better not say anything, which makes no sense to me how you can not say anything about politics. And then there was a bunch of older voters who had voted for him but refused to explain it. And it's like,
You
it,
know, how Led by Donkeys are doing a thing about how much Nigel Farage has made on the side while being an MP for
yes,
Clacton.
yes.
Going back to when he was an MEP, he used to absolutely take the piss. Like his expenses were were the biggest, or one of the biggest, all of the MEPs from all the different countries in Europe. And he got his wife on the bankroll, for advisory services or whatever it was. He also had his mistress on the bankroll. So
Oh,
we, as European taxpayers, chipping in for the EU, we were paying for Farage's mistress for the
unbelievable.
life to which she'd become accustomed. The
And when you
hypocrisy, Tan.
I mean, yeah, family values, isn't it? Christian values, like there's nothing that says Christian values like pork in a mistress, is there? And not just that, whilst he was taking all that money, he was also aligning with really dangerous characters like Messerschmidt, the Danish People's Party, I think is the MP for that, who was found guilty of racial hatred,
Yeah,
who also funds. I believe he has funded Tommy Robinson. There's a great article by Byline Times, the International Far Right Network, which proved all the links and Messerschmitt. So whilst Farage was in the EU, he was doing absolutely nothing for fishing. Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall was doing more for fishing, and he
yeah,
was just there taking the money, pretending to be a disruptor. Which I'm sorry, a privately educated ex-city boy isn't a disruptor in any sense. And he was also aligning with some of the most dangerous far right figures in Europe and building a network with them. And as far
yeah.
as I'm aware, I don't know if he's cut ties with them. He's never spoken about it because no one ever questions him critically. So this
Yeah,
is a huge problem. These are, and then obviously there's also the links between all of those people and Bannon and Trump. And as we all know, Brexit was the petri dish for uh, Trump getting Bannon. It was a test run for Bannon,
yeah,
and the weight of all the bot farms and the weight of the kind of like online radicalization, even worse now.
yeah.
Good
Couldn't
times.
agree
And
more. That's one thing that was always going to wind me up. It's people saying, you know, talking about the deep state and talking about the establishment. They are the establishment. I mean, Cummings is the best example of this. The guy gets into his car in London and they say, "Where are you going, Dominic?" And he says, "Oh, I'm going to get away from the London elites." He was going to his castle. He lives in a castle and he's one of the people who gets all the boiling oil and throws it off the ramparts onto people like us. And he's screaming at them as they're burning to death. He's screaming, "You're the elite, actually, if you think about it, in your giant fucking head."
he's
Anyway,
he's a weird looking rooster, isn't he? He's kind of
he
like
is Mekon.
Megamind.
Mega Man, or one of the aliens from Mars Attacks.
Yes, terrifying, and but what's more terrifying is his views on eugenics,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's a dodgy bastard.
But you
But
know, if you met any of these weirdos like him and Farage and Tice and Aaron Banks in the basement of a stately home, you know, having discussions about how to, you know, corrupt the British state and to destroy the future for the working and middle classes, would you be surprised? Would you be like, "Oh, I never expected to find these elites here
yeah,
plotting things"? I mean, come
it's
on.
unbelievable. I mean, the way that they managed to mindfuck so many people so successfully, if it wasn't such a problem, I'd almost admire it.
Yeah, yeah,
And I don't understand how the hell they're managing to do it, because if you look at objectively at what the Brexit Party, UKIP, what they all did, and the absolutely devastating effect it's had on our economy and on
yeah,
our fabric of society, and how he's managed to come back, which is why when people talk about Johnson, and I'm like, Johnson couldn't come back. And I'm like, but could he? Because like if
yeah,
people let Farage get away with it, there's literally pictures of him pointing at a stock market crashing after the referendum came in.
yeah,
There was talk of him saying, like, giving out the wrong information prior, so the markets went, "Whoa." Um, and loads and loads and loads of disaster capitalists made unbelievable amounts of money off of the decline of our economy, which is how they operate, shorting the markets, etc. Like what Trump did,
yeah,
right? Which is, again, shockingly, there's not been any more really much news on that when it was a heist. So yeah, like there's visual records of him doing this stuff. We're living
yeah,
through the consequence of him doing that.
yeah.
I mean, some of the people like Crispin O'Day even profited from Russia invading Ukraine
Oh,
whilst
Deus.
data briefing and giving him money to
Yeah,
be pro fracking and
yeah.
all that kind
Well,
of stuff.
Well, so I run a website called privateschoolmafia.com, and all it is a list of everyone in public life, and it's everyone who went to private school and what school they went to and what the profession is. And the names on there are just legion. There's over 1,250 names on there, and it's people you see every day on the TV. One of which is Lawrence Fox, who turned up to court this week where he's getting done for breaking upskirting offences. And he turned up in a cap that said two-tier Britain. I thought, that's a bit rich, isn't it? That's a bit rich. We live in a country where the richest people get away with murder, they get away with inciting riots, etc. They get away with sexual offences. We haven't even started talking about Prince Andrew. He's never coming back from the dark side now. Like, no one, why would anyone forgive him now for what he did?
He's already got away with it. This is the thing.
But
People don't.
there's no way back now. There's no way back for him. The people who already didn't like him are just like, fuck that guy forever now.
I don't know if I have as much faith in that as you, because I see men like this get away. I could name 10 men that I've known in my life that have got away with it.
I don't think he's going to go to jail or anything, but I think that he's never going to you know,
I'd hope so, I would hope so. And the whole
creep
two-tier,
his way back.
well, the two-tier thing that you speak of is so ludicrous because every single stat proves that people of color are infinitely way more likely to not to face unfair trials based on their
Yeah,
race. They're more likely to get banged up. If you look at the worry about this AI stuff that's coming out and the algorithms, like the bias would make that even more terrifying and dystopian than it already is.
yeah.
Like pre-predicting. Oh, I
Black
wonder,
black women are substantially more likely to die in childbirth.
substantially
There's
more likely.
still systemic racism.
Systemic racism, absolutely. And if you want to see two-tier justice outcomes,
Yeah.
then look at the fact that only 1% of rapists ever get put
Yeah.
in prison. Like
Uh,
this is the thing. Like, and the people that are doing all of that are all the people that are pretending that they give a toss about women, and it
yeah.
enrages me even more. Some days I'm just like. And we made that funny satirical joke the other day, didn't we? Like it was a joke. Me, you, and Mike, and the amazing thing that we had on your channel on Politics Social, where we had Rachel Holding-Court talking about her experiences as a woman, and then we went into other topics. And I was like, do you know what? We should just lock men up and make them prove their way out.
Proved the way out.
I've said this before online. People taking me completely literally. I don't know if it's because I've got tits or because like I'm a woman. I'm massively feminist, and the outrage. And I'm like, then I say to them, I flip it and I say, well, should I give you the list of the things that I don't have the freedom to do because I'm a woman?
Yeah,
Like really simple stuff that most men would take for granted.
yeah,
And it's like, so you're okay with us being in like a cage essentially, and being scared to walk to the shops after dark, and not being able to walk around with headphones in at night, and not feeling safe, worrying about getting the train late because we'd have to walk home alone. And you're okay with that, but
yeah,
you're not okay with the concept of what I said, because or a curfew even,
yeah.
because no, that affects men's freedoms. Our freedoms are already robbed, mate. Like and like
And
women
and
have
that's two-tier Britain as well. But like
have
for someone who went to Harrow, that is, there's Eton and there's Harrow. They're the top two schools in the country. They are mind-meltingly, eye-wateringly expensive. To be turning up to a trial of something that he actually did, that he's denying he did, I don't know. He's saying he's not guilty. He retweeted a picture of, of an upstigating offence, and though he didn't create the picture, by retweeting it, he can be done by the same law. And
and
he's saying he's not guilty.
the manner in which he did it,
Yeah,
because Narinda was calling him out for doing something. So his thought, possibly, I don't know. I'm trying to think about what kind of thought process you could have as an entitled prick like that. Um, what I assume was the thought process, or what could have been the thought process, was I'm gonna shame you now. I'm gonna shut you up. And how do I shut you up? By possibly using this image that someone. It was even an offence for the person to take that photo in the first place. Like she should
yeah,
never have had a picture taken up her skirt. And this is the thing that I have the worry of in terms of deep fakes, because they're going to be used against women at
yeah.
an alarming rate. And Patsy Stevenson's doing some great work on this, because she is not just an ardent feminist who is fighting for women's rights, but she's also, or was, a woman in STEM. So
Yeah.
she understands how important it is to kind of like look at this from a kind of pragmatic perspective. But you've got these like metaverse and these like virtual reality games,
Okay.
and even in virtual reality games women are subjected to assaults, like or virtual assaults. And then there was that game that Steam put out a couple of, I don't understand how it even made it onto the platform, or was even made, where a guy enacts revenge on his family by R-wording his mum and his like siblings. And that's
And
the,
that got on Steam.
it was not only made, but it was on Steam, and it's not the only one of its kind. So you win by the most amount, I think, of assaults that you carry out on women, and as a punishment. It is another level. And this is contributing to real life acts. I mean,
Yeah.
adolescents, showing it in schools isn't going to do shit. I'm sorry, it's not. What's going to stop is legislation, and you've got to moderate the online world, which isn't going to happen
I,
because
I agree that it's not going to stop it, but I think that adolescence represents a hell of a wake up call for parents. parents who think their little kid is doing great and not really keeping an eye on them and not knowing they're going down this right-wing pipeline. So in terms of um, getting people to see what's happening, wake them up to
Oh,
what the
absolutely.
abuse that's going on. But you're absolutely right. We need some really strong laws brought in that stop people putting this stuff on, this toxic stuff that leads to violence on the internet.
Need consequences first and foremost. The men that are capable of doing this do it because there aren't any consequences. It's enabled by
Yeah,
society.
yeah,
It's got in every institution, and this is the problem that we have with our with the social media companies, because the kind of horse has bolted, I think, in terms of holding them accountable
yeah,
and regulating them, because they've got too big and too powerful, and they have sided with the devil at this
yeah,
point, which is
yeah,
another reason why, to bring it back to reform are doing so well, is because they are boosted. I did a little experiment on my Twitter a little while ago. Rupert Lowe, he got booted out. They've got some kind of spat going on.
he's got beef, hasn't he?
He's got massive beef, but he's got like that many more followers, or he didn't at the time have that many more followers than me on Twitter.
Mm,
Now, there was an article released today showing that people that criticize, even on the right, get suppressed, actively suppressed by Elon Musk.
yeah,
I had that happen,
yeah,
and I wasn't going crazy.
yeah, really good
What
point.
I did Blue for a month. It made me feel sick. I did it at the beginning of the year just to see, right? And it's estimated that Lowe, from what they can tell, makes about £1,000 a month. And I actually saw one of his replies in real time to a post going up, the numbers just going up, 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 up. I mean, it was just going at a rapid speed.
Yeah,
I think again, it wasn't for profit, but I think I made about 30 quid in a month compared to Rupert Lowe. Same amount of followers. My posts were not performing. I used to get 200 likes in a minute on
yeah,
Twitter. I struggle to do that in a day now. Like
yeah,
it's just been pushed down. So it's this is another reason, or another way that reform are managing to gain,
yeah.
because they've got the, I mean, I don't know how much of it is real on Twitter anymore. It's a bit
They've
dead in.
got an unlimited pot of money. I had a lad deliver a reform leaflet to my door the other day, and I scrumpled it up,
Basement.
opened the door, and said, "Mate, you drop this." And he was a good lad. Like he came over and he looked about, I don't know, 17, 18 years old. I said, "Are you getting paid for this?" He went, "Yeah." And I'm like, I've delivered leaflets for Labour, the Lib Dems, the Greens over the years. I've never been paid. That would not be even like something that I'll think like, oh, you get paid for this. You volunteer, but they've got unlimited resources, possibly coming from Russia. Who knows? And they can afford to just keep pushing their narrative, like you say. I mean, they get their word out when we get suppressed. I'll tell you what, though. Did you know who gets cancelled? Right wingers who dare speak out against dear leader. I was thinking about this. Like Boris Johnson,
Mm.
right? So he got rid of all the people in the Tory party, remember, who weren't going along with his hard Brexit idea. And
Yes.
anyone in America who's right wing, who goes against Trump, like Liz Cheney,
Mm.
I mean, she's been cancelled. They never talk about cancel culture when it's them, do they? They always want to pretend like it's us on our side telling people to shut up. And the fact is, we rarely get to tell people to shut up. There's loads of people that like to tell us to shut up, but we can't.
The biggest proponent of cancel culture there is. This is the crazy element. Like they are completely skewing and hijacking the algorithms and what's seen and what's not. And it's interesting you say that about the reform voters, because it's not just in that way that they're piling money in. Like on TikTok now, it's totally different from when I started.
Mm,
It was my biggest platform. I think it still is. 258,000 followers on there. I get more views on YouTube, where I have 60,000 followers. Lovely community of people, totally organic following everywhere. I've never bought followers, never. I used to get unbelievable numbers there.
yeah,
Nowadays, the only way that I can get my post viewed is that every time it comes up with a boost pay for views option. Now, I know that reform, I can tell that people like reform. I think a few of the parties were piling money in for visibility, and a similar kind of thing can happen on Twitter, as far as I'm aware. I don't know if you can do it on Meta. I don't know. You've got a Facebook. I don't know. It normally comes up as an ad, doesn't it? So
yeah,
you can to boost a post as like an ad on
But
Meta.
it looks like a normal post. That's the
Um,
thing, and it'll just have the name at the top and goes on people's sites. But it's all AI. It's all bollocks. It's all just they'll have like a little bit of a clip from something that happened in history, and then they'll have like some shit AI picture that's been generated. I saw one the other day, and it was talking about the origin of the term bankrupt, which came from smashing benches, meant breaking a bench,
oh, they're
because it was the money lenders basically. If you ran out of money, you'd get your bench broken, and you weren't allowed to lend money anymore, essentially something like that. And the picture they had was like some kind of cross between Santa Claus and a dwarf from Lord of the Rings with its massive mallet on in the middle of St. Peter's Square in Rome with like this table that was covered in gold coins, and I'm just like, who thought that was a good image to put with this story about the origin of a freaking word? I'm like, stop with the AI slop, please.
I know it gets weird. There's so many weird, like the Tommy Robinson memes are the worst. You get
Oh God.
little girls draped in a like a Union flag or in a
Yeah.
flag, hugging a fucking lion, going, whoa, Tommy. I did my best for you. It's just so weird, man. But there is a way to stop them. I mean, I think we've got the I need to plug the oh, I've forgotten the URL. Stopreformuk.vote. That's
Stopreformuk.vote. Yeah,
it's
that's the one.
yeah. Josh is going to love this if he's watching it. Sorry, man. But we have been really successful in the past. I mean, the sell with this is, I think that we played a big part. I mean, their own actions did, but I think tactical voting helped us to really get down the numbers of the Tories. I think it played a part. I mean, people like McSweeney would minimise the efforts that we made, the ungrateful tosser, and but we did have a lot of traffic to our site in the run up to the general election, and this is our fourth time round. We've done 2 locals and a general, and it's pretty much the only option that we've got at the moment. We still have a bit of a shit voting system. It is the way that we can protest vote, and it's not a pro-Labour website. It never has been. It's been a vote for the progressive that can get them out. It's just unfortunate that the nature of our voting system means it's going to be one or the other in a general. That's just
it's the way it is. Like, if you complain about that, then you complain about the voting system. So let's use what we've got at the moment, use the tools we have to change the system, and we're not going to do that by allowing the Tories to just keep creeping in or refuck. Hey, we missed a super chat a little earlier. Do you want me to read it out?
please.
Yeah, so it's Andy Thompson. Thank you so much, Andy, for the £5 super chat. I'm wearing a t-shirt. I'm waiting for the t-shirt that says Pope Frankie says arm the unemployed.
Bloody hell.
I mean, no, he did speak up for marginalised people in a way that, J.K. Rowling, who's been cancelled, by the way. Did you hear she's been cancelled for all the terrible things she's done? She's been so cancelled that she's got a whole TV series on Netflix. I wish I got cancelled. That sounds awful. Imagine only just getting a TV show on Netflix.
And she's only got one yacht. Yeah,
got 2 yachts, one for each foot.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's amazing. It's like, oh, I've been cancelled. Read my book. Read my article in the Telegraph.
Yeah. And unfortunately, look, we talk about this. It is the lesser of 2 evils, mostly. That's democracy. It's just the way it is in life. And we can complain about it, or we can try and do something about it and try and build a better system. But you're not going to build a better system by sacking it all off and going to live in a cave. I never really understood why in developing nations they would the opposition will boycott an election and say, oh, it's all rigged, I'm going to boycott it. I wouldn't, if that was, if I had the option on that, I'd say no, go for it, and then we'll prove it's been rigged. If you pull yourself out, you're not going to know at all, are you? So I don't know. People do things differently.
Well, it is a difficult situation to be in because, like, the thing is, no matter how you look at it, and despite what's happened recently, it doesn't make me feel good to say it, but Labour may not be satisfactory, to put it mildly, but there's no way they're Tory or reform bad. You know, no
Mm.
way in hell are they. I mean, there are other people that could possibly do it better, but they did also, objectively speaking, inherit one of the worst political situations you could ever imagine too. Like no money, the Tories just robbed the country blind, fucked off with it all.
Yeah.
And then you've got boom, race riots instigated by people like Farage, and then
Yeah.
boom, you've got flipping a nutter in the White House again, who is slapping tariffs and like making everyone poorer,
Yeah.
massively poorer, and then putting you over a barrel in terms of what you can do. And he's got to try and deal with that diplomatically because Ukraine depends on it. And it's like, you know, they are spinning plates to be fair, but that does not justify, in my opinion, the way that they've handled people that are disabled and requiring welfare, and the way they've handled the trans community. It doesn't justify that, but that's just it is more nuanced than just Labour bad for this reason. They're good in some small ways, but everything else they're doing
Yeah.
is just ruining it for themselves as much as anyone else. Like they're
Yeah.
not just making these people sad, they're alienating their core voter base, and it
Yeah.
is idiotic. It's bad politics.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. We've got a couple of super chats in if you want to have a look at them. But you know, I absolutely agree. DMD saying, remember Russell Brand saying, "Don't vote." Yes, yes, I do. I've still not forgiven him.
And I
I
said,
never
whose
will.
side is he on at the time? I was like, whose side are you on, mate? Whose side? And he actually did the foreword for one of Owen Jones's books, didn't he?
Did he?
That didn't age well. Um, again,
What?
no.
What? 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 I just can't. I can't believe he just turned out to be a grifter who would just say whatever was necessary to keep him, you know, in the pink and out of jail.
Who would have knew? Who
So
would have known?
it's always the first person you expect.
It's always funny how, like, you know, all these pervs suddenly find God too. It's almost as if it's a get out of jail free. So we've got here Sarah Davies. Love you, Tan. Love you too, Sarah. Did you hear about Graham Linehan? Unfortunately, I know all about Graham Linehan. That weird freak came out of his wank hovel the other week and started trying to equate me with murderous nuns because I was sticking up for trans people.
Yep.
I said, you know, something along the lines of, you know, got access to the kids, but they don't want to see you, eh, Graham? You know, like it's you know, you've flushed your entire life down the toilet, and you don't speak for women, so shut TF up. Veg pie just for a Sunday. Oh, thank you very much. Is that
Oh,
£4.99 for a Sunday veg pie?
thanks, veg pie.
Do I have to spend that on a veg pie? That's what I'm wondering.
Maybe, maybe. Veg pie might be at the Labour Party conference later this year in Liverpool. Now,
Really?
seeing you're not going to be a member, you're not a member anymore. I mean, if you still want to come up to Liverpool for a couple of nights, you still go out and have a laugh. You don't have to
There's
go to the
events.
boring
Oh,
stuff. Yeah, we can go to Dawn Butler's Jamaica night. Me and Femi went there last year. It was boss.
I heard I heard about this. I met Dawn at a byline event a couple of years back. She was so cool, man. She was
That's
standing
brilliant.
there drinking some kind of like amazing cocktail out of a pineapple. And I was like, you are
Love
religious.
it.
But she's the woman who this week on, I can't remember which, I think it was on Politics Live, wasn't it, or something, where she made the Tory MP malfunction, when he started describing how trans men are going to use women's bathrooms. And he actually, like, I don't think I've ever seen a silence that long on me. I was just, wasn't it? He was just sitting
It was curbing your enthusiasm time, wasn't it? Like close in.
there. It was so, it was just, I mean,
Well, I.
it was the way that he just kind of like paused into the middle distance. Michael Spicer did a brilliant take on this, where he was pretending to be tech support for the Tory MP. So I'm gonna have to reboot him. And it was, why are you still sending out these old models? It was like he was operating on Vista or something. And it was so good. I love Michael Spicer. Oh, the Witchy Goth. Oh, Witchy Goth's awesome. I think the Witchy Goth does a lot of, and if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of kind of like anti Andrew Tate, which we like, feminist content. So for your first live, F the patriarchy.
Thank
F
you,
the
Richie Goth.
Thank you so
We've
much.
also got one from Richard Marsden as well.
Where?
Just
I
above
can't.
Richie Goff.
Oh, hello. Oh, here we are. Richard Marsden, just because two of my favourite people are making a positive difference to my Sunday.
Oh,
We
thank
both
you. You go like this.
let us pray. No, I think the Sunday service, like, thank you again, Graham. Actually, like, I'm going to tell you this. I should, there's no. You're seeing how the sausage is made here. I was like, oh, I've got a great idea for the name of this show, Graham. I'm going to call it Sunday Service. He was like, Dick, that's literally what my Sunday show is called. And I was like, oh, I thought I was onto a winner because Jarvis Cocker. I was going.
Yeah,
I nicked Jarvis Cocker's idea.
yeah. I think I did as well. Don't worry about it. So you can
Both.
have this. So you can have this. So I did a Sunday service this morning, right?
Oh,
And then this is like the official handover, so you can have it from now on. I just
it's a-
call it Sunday Brew because it is just a morning brew show. The thing is that's different is I try and make it a little bit more philosophical, so it's not necessarily what's in the news. It's
yeah.
more, just generally about like some take on politics or what's happening at the moment. That's what I try and do anyway. I'm seeing it like a sermon more than a
Yes.
more
I mean,
than
I
a
was
news thing.
tempted by the word sermon too. Someone just said here, sorry to catch up on the Linehan. Oh, it's about him being charged with criminal damage and harassment.
Oh yes.
He was actually, like, I think I mentioned this before, and an actual lawyer has said this publicly, so I can say it. He had, I think, defamed someone too, and he was doing a fundraiser, but he wasn't really making it clear about why when he was doing the fundraiser for his legal costs. So when he was trying to grift money out of people for the consequences of his own actions, he wasn't really being as upfront as he could be about precisely his part in it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And thank you, Peter, for saying I look like a thug in this jacket. I am a thug. And it's a jumper.
Yuri's dropped a super chat in as well. If you have a look, yeah,
Oh, is that above there? Is
it's
that
below Witchy Goth.
it's not caught up.
Oh, do you want me to read it?
Oh, there it yes, murderous nuns. Are they supporting Tantric Dan? Oh my god. I know
No, they're not a hard rock band. They're not a heavy metal band called Murderous Nuns.
murderous nuns would actually be
That would be an excellent name for them.
would actually be quite good.
Women only hard rock.
But Aid, I know
Industrial.
that this fella here follows Aid too. I know that he was around in the time when we first started talking about Tantric Nan.
Yes.
Because you were former, like, I remember you were involved, I think, briefly with Tantric Nan, and well, we all were in our own way. But those times, man, it was like the only way you could describe us musically was a bit like Rumours meets Gong. So it's like Fleetwood Mac meets Gong. Anyway, so another one.
Yeah, we've got Alice Durham there.
Alice Sturm Kerr. Tam, please do more lives and even co-host more with Graham. I would love to co-host more with Graham. I mean, we're going to try and get Aid involved too.
Yes, yeah. But that's going to be a different show. That's going to be called Fuck Your Bins.
Fuck Your Bins, which is actually like that. I couldn't help myself. Do you know what? I think even if a Tory had said that, I would have found that unbelievably funny. It was so...
We shouldn't find this funny, but like, can we just make this clear that this Labour MP who texted this didn't text it to the actual constituents? He was just saying in his little group chat on WhatsApp what he would say if he could.
Yeah.
And he said to the constituents, "Fuck your bins."
And now me and Graham are planning to do a show along that line, and we've also got a little side chat where we unleash. I mean, if that side chat alone is the reason I'm never going to be allowed into America. Never. I'm never getting in. Not that I would want to go now, but there's no chance.
I'm genuinely worried that one of my mates is going to go to America and have their phone checked, right? And they'll go on the Facebook, and the first thing that's going to come up is me calling Trump a gobshite, and then they'll get like put in jail or something, or deported to El Salvador. I'm genuinely worried. I actually asked my auntie, she's Canadian, and she was going to America to go on a cruise, and And I said to her, oh, block me on Facebook until you get back, because I just didn't want them to look through her phone. She's a little old lady, and they'll be like, oh, you're friends with this guy, and I'll never stop feeling guilty if that happens. So
first post that comes up is just you going, another sad day in the obituaries, Why can't you aim properly?
Yeah.
Right, so we've got, Rob, what does this little, because I've never done a live before, I'm like a noob, I'm like a nan here. What does it mean where it has that little symbol next to, is it someone that's become a member of the
He's
channel?
become a member of your channel on the F the Tories level of membership.
Oh, cheers, man.
So there you go. You've got a new fan.
Good, I know
Welcome.
you.
Welcome.
Political fame. Frigs, love and blessings. Keep up the fight. Little badgers.
Oh, that's lovely, isn't it?
What the little badgers fellas are.
Badger.
Badgers with little stoats. And please do Alice Sturmkerm again.
Epic name.
Epic name. Fuck your bins.
Fuck your bins.
They're actually being told to take burner phones, aren't they? Like they're being people.
Proper like politicians, European politicians, are being told to take burner phones and blank laptops to America. That's something that you do when you go to like Saudi Arabia or Iran or somewhere.
Just don't go there. It's not a safe country. Don't go. It is absolutely 100% not a safe country at all.
I was so careful when I was traveling around the world. I would delete everything. Like I didn't have anything on my computer that was even like slightly dicey or dodgy, just in case, because the worst circumstances were they'll go through everything. You wouldn't expect it from America. You might expect it from, I don't know, Congo or something, but not.
And the free. Whoever told you that's your enemy, as Radio Against the Machine said.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even that bad then. It wasn't as bad.
No.
Mikey was pointing out the other week that it's basically always been bad. It's just, I guess, we see it in a different light. I have a lady that I follow on Instagram who visited one of the memorials in America, and it had these like slates of all the different things that black men and women were lynched for. One was knocking on the door of a white woman's house. The other was losing a fight or like winning a fight with a white man, and the other was just like them being accused of, because I'll never forget the story of Emmett Till, horrific stories. And when you see what's happened with black people being murdered by coppers and just getting away with it, or that guy that shot people just getting away with it, and
that's two-tier justice.
That's two-tier justice. Absolutely is, yeah. And it's always been bad, but I guess it's so bad now that not even white people can fail but to see it. But the problem is they're gaslighting us on an industrial scale, aren't they? It's backwards worlds. Sorry, have we got more?
We've got a few more super chats from Alice and Anna, and Sarah's joined.
Okay, Sarah.
Yeah, she's joined the channel.
Okie doke. Oh, thank you, Sarah. Alice, because the nans are right. If that's me, then thank you. Thank you very much.
Tantric nan? Maybe the tantric nans are.
Oh, the tantric nans. Oh, I thought you were calling me a nan. Tan, you remind me, Anna Wildsville, you remind me of June in The Handmaid's Tale. Every time I see your face, I want to say, blessed be the fruit. Defo, now it's a Sunday service. That is so funny you say that, because my old friend Dale calls it the Tansmaid Tale, because he thinks that I really look like the lead woman in The Handmaid's Tale. Elizabeth, can't remember her surname.
She played the daughter in The West Wing.
Elizabeth Moss.
It's
not the worst. It could be worse.
She's also in Mad Men.
Oh yeah, of course she is. She plays the secretary, isn't it?
Is it Peggy?
Peggy, that's it. Oh, Political X. We've got Alex. Guys,
hi, Alex.
Political X and also Politics Social a follow. He's awesome. ICE arrested 2 German teenagers last week who were just travelling through. This is true.
Yeah.
Australian took a route they didn't like to America and lost 10 grand on a cruise because he just got sent back. So that's really, really weird. And there's someone here called Ian Clark saying, "What is cis?" That's what Google's for, mate.
Let me Google that for you. Sarah Davis has joined your channel, which is really lovely of her. So welcome, members, welcome new members. And also, One Angry Pagan's got one last super chat in. I think Frigg is a goddess from Norse and Anglo-Saxon paganism. So thanks very much for that.
I love a bit.
Tan, I hate to rain on your parade, but I'm getting angry texts from Catherine because I've got to go and eat my dinner.
Oh God!
I didn't even realise because I wasn't looking at the clock, and then I just looked at it. It was like 7:10. I was like, "Oh bloody hell, that went fast." It did go fast, didn't it?
He has flown, yeah.
I feel like there's loads more to say. Can we do this again next week?
I would bloody love to. I would
same
love.
bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah, and also, but before we go, we just want to make it clear to you that stopthetories.vote, stopreformuk.vote, they are both running. With stopthetories.vote, I mean, you could just finish them off, essentially. I mean, they're already kind of like, it's like, finish him, they're flailing. All you gotta do is go, get over here.
Rip the head off.
Yeah,
Eat them and then spit out the bones.
Mortal Kombat quotes. And with stopreformuk.vote, if it's in your area and you can vote for someone to keep them out, it's going to be so much easier to keep them out now, because if they do get councillors, people might think, oh, it's just councillors. No, that is like support for them. That is them getting their claws in. And those are the people that are there to kind of like support them when it comes to the point of a general election. It's more hands on deck. So it's really important that we get them out, keep them out, don't let them in. But no, seriously, thank you. Thank you for for coming with me on my first ever foray into live streaming. It's been really nice. You've all been awesome as well. Thank you.
Sarah in the chat is saying, awesome, let's make this a weekly thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm definitely going to be doing more live streams because I'm going to be getting my arse into gear and launching my podcast soon. So I'll be having a Dystopia Warning podcast, which will have guests on it. We'll be talking about everything. Well, everything is political, as our Lord and Saviour Skunk Anansi said. So yeah, I'm fitting in with the theme here. I like I can on a Sunday. But thank you so much, Graham, for coming on.
Welcome.
And round of applause for Graham. There's no one here to applaud. It's not like the social. And yeah, thank you and good night.
Bye-bye.